looked at the blocks for a long, healthy life, because we don't just want to live long, do we? We want to live well, we want to live healthy, we want to live strong. And that's what we're here today, to learn about how to protect our health, to boost our immune systems, and to build that resilience against illness, don't we? So that we can be that 120-year-old who's dancing with her great-grandchildren. Praise God for that. So whether you're here to optimise your health, support your loved ones, or simply just to get a clearer understanding of what it takes to lead a long, healthy life, there's something here that's valuable for everybody here today. So we'll embark on this journey together, and we'll understand at the end what it means to not only add years to your life, but how to add life to your years. So let's put our hands together and welcome our naturopath, Candice.
Thank you so much, Charmaine, and welcome everybody. It's so nice to be here again. I think it was probably a year ago since I was here, so it's always lovely. I feel like you're a wonderful bunch. You're so willing to learn and to take control of your own health, and so you've really made the best decision to be here today. Give me a show of hands if you were here last time I came. Does anyone remember me last year? Okay, cool, because we're going to build on some of those things that we learned, so I might test you guys. The rest of you are off the hook, okay? But what we're going to do today, even if you haven't come to any of my previous workshops or lectures, there'll be something in this for each one of us. So what we're going to do today, as Charmaine mentioned, we're looking at longevity, but not just living long, but living healthy and living vibrant and abundant lives. Because I know some people who have been able to live long in years, but they were in nursing homes for 20 years, bedridden, invalid. That's not the kind of longevity I want, personally, and I'm sure that's not what you want either. So let's have a look at it today. We're going to be looking at the leading causes of death in Australia. Why? Because we live here, and we need to see what are against us in our environment and with the kind of diet and lifestyle that we have. We're also going to look at what exactly longevity is, what the blue zones are. We're going to learn from the lessons of the centenarians. These are those guys who have lived over 100 years. And amazing lessons that we can learn from them, because I think if anyone would know, it's these people who have done it, right? We're also going to look at some lifestyle factors for longevity, the role of a whole food plant-based diet when it comes to longevity, what kind of foods and herbs will help you, little easy hacks that you can start to employ in your everyday lifestyle, how fasting can play a massive role when it comes to longevity, and also the importance of sleep and stress management, how faith and spirituality and community make a massive difference to your longevity or not, and also some things that we really ought to remove now, earlier rather than later, because these things have been shown to actually reduce lifespan. Okay, so we're going to have a look at that today. To begin with, actually, I hope nobody saw that. What do you think is the number one cause? You've all seen it. What do you think is the number two cause then? Here in Australia, for death, as of last year. What do you think?
Heart disease.
Heart disease is number one, so 10 points to you.
Oh.
But number two, what was the number one? I think the number two cause will be quite surprising to you. And none of you saw it, so have a guess, don't be shy. That's very close after.
Heart disease.
No, let's have a look, because I was actually quite surprised as well. Although over the last few years, no, I don't think we'll get it. Check this out. The number two killer is dementia, including Alzheimer's. And I have seen a huge rise in this in recent years, but I had no idea that it was the number two killer here in Australia, according to the Bureau of Statistics last year's results. So the two top killers, and if you have a look at how many deaths there are, they are taking out double from number three down. Okay, so stroke we all know is a killer. It's part of heart disease, but it's only number three. And then of course we start getting into the cancers. Okay, there's lungs, there's the chronic lung diseases, which of course includes a lot of different things. And then diabetes, number 6 here in Australia, number 6 killer. And then of course all your other cancers. But I was also quite surprised, because I deal a lot with people with cancer, that breast cancer is not even in the top 10. But that doesn't say it's not killing huge amounts of people. And for us women, it is one of the biggest ones that we have to contend with. But these are really the top ones. So the two top ones that are of most concern are actually heart disease and dementia, brain health. So if we have cognitive decline, we will not live long. And this seems to be the one of the big guys who's trying to take us out, okay, here in Australia. So when it comes to longevity, what exactly is it? What is it defined as? It is literally how long you live for, but not just that. That's half of the picture. The other half is that it is your health span. So this is how long you can live, but without chronic disease. And that's what longevity is. It's not living long, but all, crippled and decrepit. It's actually living long, but still being able to live a vibrant life. And that's what longevity is, and that's what we all want, right? I don't know anyone here who says, oh, I don't mind if I, end up in a wheelchair or end up bedridden when I'm like 70. That's okay, as long as I live to be 110. I would not want that, personally, okay? So we're going to look at how we can do it the right way, guys. Now, according to statistics, last year, the global life expectancy around the whole world, the average lifespan, was 73 to 74. There's actually a proverb in the Bible and it says, if you're lucky, 70, right? But that's 70, and then if you have lots of reason of strength, you might get to live to be 80, okay? And that's what the whole world is saying. But guess what? We don't live everywhere else. We live here in Australia, and we are in the lucky country. How much longer do we live? 83 on average. So you've chosen the right country. I just want to congratulate you all. Okay? And I actually have to say that I think you've chosen the right state and the right area in the state to live. This really is the perfect environment for longevity. And so we have the best. We won't talk about those southerners who have it really tough, or those really high northerners, because it's not too good for them up there or down there. But we have the best environment. Now, historically, longevity has always been a thing. There have been people that have lived for hundreds of years in the past. But actually, believe it or not, we have not increased in longevity over time. We've actually decreased. In fact, there are people who used to live to like 200 years old. That was pretty common. That 120, that's very rare for this day and age. But it's possible, okay? So that's what's encouraging. But we have evidence going back thousands of years that specifically the Greeks and the Chinese were very focused on longevity and on what things to do and what things not to do. And there's actually a lot of evidence of, even health plans and things like that from the Chinese dating back 5,000 years. So it's quite incredible. And then today, though, we're going to be looking at longevity, how we can increase our lifespan, but from a naturopathic standpoint. So we're going to be looking at the whole picture, not just diet, not just lifestyle, but all of it, including even our mental health, okay? Because they all play a massive role in our physical, emotional, and spiritual health, okay? They're all connected. So we're going to have a look at that today, because at the end of the day, what we really want to do is we want to live abundant lives no matter how old we are right now. We want to have a resilient life, and if we happen to get sick along the way, we should be able to bounce back and keep going, okay? That's the plan. So, we're going to have a look at the blue zones. Who here has heard of these guys before? Yeah. So, I have a friend who lives in one of them in Okinawa, and she was telling me about her grandma who has lived to be 109 years, which I thought was incredible, but I think you beat me now, Charmaine. I've never personally known somebody who's lived that long, but you know what? She was telling me all of her secrets. And these secrets from these blue zoners have been researched and looked at by a guy called Dan Buettner from National Geographic. And he went around the whole world searching for populations who have the highest number per capita of centenarians. Okay, so people who live to be over 100, but what he found that was very interesting is that it's only 5 places on the whole planet, and they all have very similar lifestyles and diets and outlooks on life. And so we're going to try and learn from some of those secrets, because they have the secrets to longevity, okay? We have Sardinia, Nicoya, Icaria, and Loma Linda. Now, the first 4 are all located in very pristine, beautiful little isolated areas. Some of them are on islands, some of them are on peninsulas, except for this one. And I don't know if you know anything about USA, but it is not at all ever considered as a longevity country. In fact, for these people who live here to be living, to be centenarians, it's actually a bit of an incredible feat. So these guys here have the same kind of lifestyles and outlooks on life as the rest of them, but these ones have had a lot against them because they live in a terrible country with the worst healthcare system. There isn't really one. But also too, they have the worst diet in a whole. Okay, I've lived there, trust me, I'm speaking from experience. So let's find out a little bit more about these blue zoners, because it's actually incredible to see that they all have the same kind of longevity secrets that they practice, and yet none of them knew about it until recent years. So one of the big things that all of these guys do is they have natural movement. That means that none of them have a gym membership, although there's nothing wrong with that, but they all just naturally move a lot. A lot of them are actually gardeners. Okay, it's one of the best jobs you could have. So they're moving a lot, there's lots of low intensity exercise, so you don't have to be running, you don't have to do HIIT, you don't have to do anything like that, but they're working their heart, they're working their calves, and a lot of them are doing weight bearing without realising it, carrying and lifting heavy tools and garden equipment and so forth. So they're doing everything that you should, but in a very relaxed, calm kind of way. They all have something in common when it comes to purpose. They all realise that they need to have a strong community. A lot of these places have that mindset of it takes a village to raise, someone, and they work together, and there's no fighting and issues like that. And one of the common thread with all of these 5 blue zones when it comes to purpose is that they all believe in a higher power, and they actually practice a lot of those really good moral principles that help you not to have stress or anger or angst. One of them has the secret of not going to sleep if there's any kind of fighting happening. Wow. You have to sort that out before you go to sleep. So I love that, but they all believe in keeping peace. A very peaceful mind and focus. Another thing that is not really a thing in these 5 blue zones is stress. They don't really have it. Their stress is, I wonder if the rain will come to water my crops, or do I have to bucket it? So not too much of a stress for us, I guess, but they don't have stress. They're not worried about bills. They don't care about trying to, gain riches or anything like that. All they care about is living long to be with family and friends. And that's what I want to live for, right? I'm an auntie of 4, and it's just the greatest joy. I'm loving every minute of it. Another thing that they all have in common is that they are primarily plant-based. The 1 or 2 out of those blue zones may have a piece of meat once a year. It's kind of like a Christmas tree. And that's the way even we used to do it back in the old days. I don't know if anyone remembers, even here in Australia. So they are pretty much eating plant-based day in, day out, month in, month out, okay? They focus on eating a huge variety of foods. None of them have just like 4 or 5 things that they eat. They eat a huge abundance of colours and flavours and different kinds of products. And you should see the gardens of these communities. There's foods I've never even seen, okay? So they are eating a huge variety, and I think that's a really good key point. They're eating all the nutrition that you could need because they're not just having 4 or 5 types of food ever. So that's a really good lesson, hey? And the other thing is that they have the very strong social connections. Not only do they have the strong family bonds, but they are very community focused and get involved with each other. If somebody needs something done, a house made, built or something like that, they'll all chip in and do it. And no one is getting paid for it. It's just a volunteer kind of thing. And that's a very amazing experience to have if you've ever been in those kind of community situations. So, other things that the blue zoners do is they drink copious amounts of water. Now, who here knows that they should be drinking more water? Yes, I hear you. But guess what? With this warmer weather, it's going to help us out, I promise. But if you want to know how much water your body needs for your weight, times your weight in kilos by 33 mils. And that will show you how much water as a minimum that you need to have. If it's hot, you're exercising, you're sweating, you better increase and have a bit more for what fluid you're sweating out, okay? So drinking water. Most of these guys are drinking 3 to 4 litres a day, and some of them are very little, 60 kilos, okay? So you cannot overdo the water, especially when you are exercising and losing a lot through that. One of my favourite things about the blue zones is that when it comes to sleep, they have this amazing habit, all of them. They go to bed, some of them on sunset. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? I love that. But at the very most, 2 hours after the sunset, they're all snoozing. Like they've already done their bedtime routine and they are asleep 2 hours after the sun has gone down. And without actually knowing it, they wouldn't have known, but science has proven that our bodies do run on circadian rhythm. When that sun goes down, all of our bodily functions start to slow down and rest. And so the best thing you can do is try and go to sleep, as early as you can. I always recommend here in this kind of, environment and busy lifestyles that we all live, 10 o'clock latest, okay? 9 o'clock even better. So that's very, very important. The other thing that they do as well is they all have sun exposure, mostly because they're outside being active with family and friends, gardening, and that's very easy. They get more than enough vitamin D. None of them have to take vitamin D supplements, okay? But for us here in this environment, we'll talk about how much we need because we can overdo the sun, and our sun is very hot compared to other areas. So we have to be careful as well. What about foods? Is there certain foods that these guys stay away from? Yes, we know that animal products is not really a thing, but also they all stay away from just heavily populated, polluted areas. And so that's really key because we know that you can do everything right, but if you are being contaminated through soil, water, and wind and air, that's also going to be a little bit against you when it comes to longevity, yeah? So they do that. This is what I love about them. None of them snack. Snacking is not a thing. And it can't be if you want longevity. If you don't want longevity, snack away. But if you want longevity, you've got to shut your goblet, okay? I always say. People say to me, Candice, how can I do this, how can I do that? And my number one answer is shut your goblet. Because when we stop eating snacks in between meals, especially even if we stop eating for a day or two, or even just, push it out and have 2 meals a day, instead of 3, that's actually going to do more good for you than anything else. It's like the best longevity pill, and we'll talk more about that in a moment. So fasting is a thing that these 5 blue zones do as well. Some of them will fast once a week, like total abstinence from food, drinking water only. Others will fast 2 times a week. But the majority of them, don't get freaked out, I'm not telling you to do that. The majority of them just have 2 meals a day. So that's very doable, okay? You can open your goblet up twice a day, all right? So let's have a look when we talk about fasting, how extended fasting and how all these guys know that if they're maybe feeling a bit under the weather or they're having a crisis in their life, they just don't eat for a day or 2 and it resets their entire body, immune system, your mind, and really everything. So what happens when you stop eating after 6 to 10 hours? We all do that every night. We all fast at least that. I would recommend that everybody fast at least 16 hours a day, and that's pretty easy because most of it you're sleeping at night time. And then you just have a later breakfast, okay? I like to call it brunch. It's a late breakfast but before lunch. And then I recommend having your second meal in the mid-afternoon, not too late, because these centenarians, they don't eat when the sun's come down. They all finish before the sun goes down. They have afternoon dinners. And so I call it dinner. It's between lunch and dinner. So whatever time that suits you. But if you can do that, you're actually going to easily have a 16-hour fast. Your body will utilize all the glucose that is in your muscles and also from your liver. And then what happens after 10 hours, so you're sleeping while this happens, but your pituitary gland is going to boost your human growth hormone. And guess what that helps to do? Well, it helps you to repair. It also helps you to age very well and gracefully. And have you seen some of these centenarians from the blue zones? They look like they're 50 years old. 50 years old. Their skin is incredible. Natural Botox in a bottle. And all you have to do is shut your goblet, all right? So after 10 hours, you're going to start looking better. Your body temperature will drop, and that's important to sleep cool. So you can see why it's good not to have a late dinner. But then after 16 hours, this is the next morning, you're about to break your fast and have a good hearty brunch. By that time, you are now only burning fat for energy, and that's good, okay? We want to burn up any excess fat. You don't want to have fat, you just want muscles. And then also too, autophagy begins. And I usually recommend if you can push the fast out just 1 more hour to get more of that autophagy benefit, so go 17 hours fast. This is where, when autophagy or autophagy happens, your body's immune system is heightened, it wakes up, it starts looking around the body for any kind of damaged cells, misused proteins, any viruses, bacteria, fungi, protozoa, and it starts to gobble it up and eat it. So when you shut your goblet, your autophagy goblets can open and start to basically clean house. But it only starts around the 16-hour mark. So can you see why these longevity five blue zoners do that fast once a week? Because they every week are cleaning house, and when your house is clean and you don't have viruses and bacteria and fungus, there's no environment there for disease to take hold. And so it makes sense, right? In fact, I always recommend that one of the best things that you can ever do for yourself, besides all the best herbs on the planet, all the best nutrition, is to actually just fast once a week. If you just did that one day and get up to the point where you're getting into your 24-hour fast, this is when your glycogen has totally been used up. Okay, you're totally only burning fat, there's no glucose or anything else to use from your muscles or from your liver. And then you start to have this euphoria kind of thing, if you can ever extend it to a 48-hour fast. If ever I've got exams to do or anything that requires huge mental capacity, I just shut my goblet for 2 days. And when I do my test, 99%, it's like I have perfect recall and cognitive function. And I'm not normally like that, I'm just saying. But I know how to work the system, all right? And when you get to that point, you have the best recall, you have the best memory, and you actually are running cognitively at the best that your body can. In fact, when you push that out to 3 days, that's even better. But for the average person, for the centenarians, they just do a 1 to 2 day fast. They don't do it every week, some of them do, but this is, you can see why they live a long time, okay? There's reasons. Fasting does more good for you than even eating the best food. Having a rest, letting your digestive system rest in your stomach. So but let's look at normal people, okay? Here in Australia, I would like us all to be the next blue zone. I think we can do it, but I need your guys' help. If we could start just doing 2 meals a day and having that 16 to 17 hour fast, and then having 2 amazing meals full of nutrient-dense plant-based foods, we can get there too, just with that, all right? So what happens when you do 2 meals a day? Okay, I've also got something up there that looks funny. It's called OMAD. That stands for 1 meal a day. That's for people who have severe health challenges or people who have disease. If you do OMAD, you'll overcome that in like a third of the time than what you can do not having that fast. So let's have a look, but let's concentrate on people who eat 2 meals a day. First of all, you're going to promote cellular repair and autophagy, okay, as long as you get to that 16 hour or just over 16 hours. It improves your insulin sensitivity, so that's super important because we'll talk about glycation in a minute, but when it comes to insulin and glucose, okay, when we have too many glucose spikes, we end up having diabetes, pre-diabetes, metabolic diseases. But even if you don't have those, because you may not have, the susceptibility for it, you will definitely age very quickly and your brain will age quickly. And we'll talk about that in a moment. So it reduces inflammation. We know that all diseases start in an inflammatory environment. If we don't have inflammation, guess what can't take hold? Diseases. And diseases is what stops longevity. So we want to try and stop at the cause and prevent those causes from happening. It also decreases the risk of chronic diseases. So limiting the amount of food that we eat and even lowering, because you automatically will lower calories, right? If you cut out a whole meal, you're automatically just going to lower a third of those calories for the day. And for most of us, that's a good thing. It's very rare that people don't eat enough calories. We usually are over-consuming, and that's where we have a lot of issues. So that's going to help with that as well. Another thing that eating 2 meals a day does is it slows down the accumulation of your advanced glycation end products. So what this is basically these AGEs, they only form when you are having too much of a glucose spike. So after every single meal we have something that we go through called the postprandial state. That's just normal. After a meal you've definitely eaten carbs in whatever form, whether they're refined or whole, but you're going to have a spike, okay? And however high that spike is determines whether you've gone into glycation or not. There's a level and a limit that our body is allowed to safely spike because it's normal to do that after eating. But if you go above that, you've gone into glycation and then you're going to start having issues. It's not going to happen overnight, but it is going to catch up and it's going to slow you down with that longevity aspect. So what happens too is that when you have glycation, it actually ages you faster. So I actually had a lovely comment from somebody. I'm going to pay you later. I don't know where you are, Cora. But she said, Candice, you look so much different. Your face has changed since the last time I saw you. Well, I like to do fasting, and I'm hoping that I'm reducing that glycation as well. And so I'm hoping to be reversing my age, or at least not aging, or at least aging gracefully. That's what I'm hoping for. I don't believe in Botox or anything like that. And I might have a few crinkles, but it's from smiling and spending time with family, so I reckon it's all worth it. But do you know what? I really think that you can reduce even how you appear, but it's not even about that, is it? It's really on a cellular level, how well you age. And I don't know if anyone here has ever heard of a guy called Brian Johnson. Famous now, so he's a very rich tech mogul, and he has spent millions of dollars on working out how to age gracefully, and he actually wants to even reverse aging. And do you know that he has got all the best research and current everything? He's literally spent millions on finding out what's the best food for that, how do I reduce my muscle age, how do I reduce my skin age and everything. And basically what I'm sharing with you today is his program, but you'll have to pay a lot if you go through him. But he's written a program called the Blueprint Program, and he talks about the best nutrients and things like that. He has reversed his physical health to be a 17-year-old, and his son's 17. And his face before and after is 27 years younger. And he is full plant-based, everything that I'm teaching you guys today. And guess what? 2 meals a day max. And yeah, it's science, And he has, been able to have the money and the chefs to help him on his journey. Another thing that fasting does, 2 meals a day, is it activates those longevity genes. Yes, there are such a thing. And the only thing that really activates them is having the maximum 2 meals a day. So 3 meals a day, it's not going to kill you if you're having a party, catching up with friends, that's fine. But it's what you do every day that counts. So if you can really try and make it a habit of just eating 2 meals a day, then you will actually live longer, and you're turning on your longevity genes. Everything is going to work better for you, okay? It's one of the best favors that you can do for yourself. So let's have a look then about how our gut plays a role when it comes to longevity. Because we all know that our gut is basically our second brain, okay? It really controls how you feel, think, what your mood is, and it also, those things affect your longevity, but your actual gut affects all of your organ systems as well. They're all connected. So if the gut is not happy, other organs will not be happy, and then before you know it, you're only dreaming about having longevity, okay? So we have to look at the gut. Having a healthy gut will reduce inflammation, which we know is one of the causative factors of disease. It improves metabolism, boosts your immune function, supports your brain health. What was the number 2 killer here? Brain and cognitive disease. So should we be focusing more on our brain health than maybe what we currently are? Because at the moment, I think a lot of us here, we think, oh, I don't have any risk factors. My grandma, my mum, or no one in my family has dementia or has had it or has had Alzheimer's, so I'm good. But when you look at it, that's taking out the majority of our population. So we need to start preventing those things, because guess what? Once they come, very hard to go back from that, okay? Also too, it produces those longevity boosting molecules, okay? So your gut itself is what produces butyrate. And guess what? Only those who are on a whole food plant-based diet have the highest butyrate production on the planet. So you can see how these blue zones, without knowing the science, they were doing everything naturally right and instinctively right to just be giving themselves the best chance for longevity. Also too, we know that eating less affects your gut, and it actually helps your gut to be healthier on so many levels, okay? Which of course is going to affect everything else. And then of course, if you're having a calorie restriction, as we mentioned with the fasting, that's going to help with your actual microbiota. Did you know that if you eat too much, or if you eat to excess, or if you're eating foods that are just not really the best, they will destroy your microbiome, and in turn that's going to destroy and affect all of your organ systems, including your mind and your mental health. So the gut is super important, and I really can't emphasize that enough. Those of you who have come in the past, we have looked at the gut and how we can give ourselves the best fighting chance. Today you guys are going to have an amazing French onion kefir dip, which is a wonderful pre and probiotic longevity food. And if you just have a couple of tablespoons of that a day, you're going to repopulate your gut microbiome and destroy any of those pathogenic bacteria. So it's just incredible. All right, let's have a look at something that I think a lot of us know about biofilm. Put your hand up if you know what this is. All right, 10 points to you. Keep a tally, it will amount to nothing, but you can get a gold star at the end, okay? All right, so what exactly is biofilm? Biofilm is something that a lot of us don't know about, and it actually affects our health, physically and emotionally, and mentally. And what it actually is it's the ability for your bacteria, fungus, protozoa to encase themselves in a matrix that basically act like an umbrella and hide from our own immune systems. And guess what? They even hide from when we use herbal medicine to try and treat and destroy those things. So whether it's bacterial or fungus or whatever it is, if you have a strong biofilm covering it all, you can do the best herbal medicine. You can even take antibiotics. And guess what? It's still there, they've been protected, and they can't be destroyed. So we need to always, on a daily basis, do something that is called disrupting biofilm. And that is just a daily destroying the actual matrix and breaking it down so that just with food is medicine, so that we can never have them grow and protect themselves with the matrix, okay? When that biofilm is there, basically you are a ticking time bomb for the next disease, or you're going to get sick all the time and you'll just never really recover. Have you ever been in a situation, or have you known somebody who is sick like 4, 5, 6 times a year? And then they're like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm doing everything right, but maybe it's because the biofilm is just stopping anything being killed, so they can never get on top of it. So how do we do that? Or what are some signs of having biofilm? Chronic illnesses, flus, colds, catching every single thing that comes around. The other thing is having wounds that don't heal. Okay, that's a really sure sign that you've probably got biofilm issues. And biofilm starts in the mouth. Okay, you can have it in your mouth, on your teeth, all the way down through the digestive system. So it's connected with the gut. Okay. Also too, you've got sinusitis, of course, because this is that inflammation of those chronic sinusitis issues. Periodontal disease is a sign that you've got biofilm issues. And also chronic urinary trions, so UTI infections. Okay, if you're having any of those, or you know somebody who does, they need to be starting to disrupt biofilm. So how do we do that? Food is medicine, my friends. Garlic, it has to be raw. We're going to give you a dip today that if you like raw garlic, you're going to love. And if you don't come and talk to me because I'm going to stink like it. All right? But garlic is actually, you'll see, one of the best medicines. And you know what I love? In the 5 blue zones, they eat it raw and they eat it cooked. I love having it cooked. Still do it, but have it raw as well. Okay? So what that will literally do is it will enhance the ability for your herbal medicine, or even antibiotics or anything like that. I mean, that garlic is a natural antibiotic, right? But it'll be able to get through the film, help to destroy the actual matrix, and then get in and destroy those pathogens. Okay? What about curcumin? It's always in here. It has to be in my talks, right? So the active component of turmeric is also going to break down biofilm. And what it's going to actually do is it helps to stop any new biofilm developing, because it's a constant process. Your body wants to keep making biofilm, right? So once you've killed it, you need to keep it under control. Cranberry is amazing. Drinking the juice or eating the cranberries, try and get the one that isn't full of sugar, especially the dried cranberries. Oregano oil, there's no surprise there. We know how amazing oregano oil is at killing all of these pathogens on their own, so especially fungus and parasites. But if you have that every day, and this can be even in the form, if it's not a concentrated capsule, which I recommend is the best form, but if you can't get that, just your raw oregano, there's natural oils on that. And if you just have that every day, chop it up, put it in your salads. You can even drink it as a tea, okay? But what this is going to do is it's going to help to actually destroy and kill anything that's living underneath the matrix, and it even prevents it also from returning and growing.
Candice, how much oil?
Oh yeah, so 1 capsule or equivalent to 10 drops if you've got like the essential oils that you can take. So
You have to
10
buy
drops.
a pure one, hey, like
Yes.
doTERRA or something.
Yes, it has to be, good point. So Young Living or doTERRA are the only ones that you can take internally if you're going to take it as a drop. 10 drops will do you. Or you can buy the actual oregano pill or capsules from Thompson's from your health food store. Yeah.
And how about the first leaves of oregano?
Yeah.
Let's see how many pieces.
Oh, look, as long as you're having a bit of the other things, just have a handful, right? Yeah, so I mean, with all of these, you can do one, but if you eat it all as part of your diet, then you don't have to worry about numbers or quantities, okay? Ginger, there's no surprise there. That's going to also help. And NAC, okay? We all know how amazing NAC is. And NAC is so good as well for longevity, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. And let's not forget Manuka honey. So Manuka honey is fantastic. As you know, I only recommend to use it because it's very expensive for starters, full of bacteria. You don't ever want to heat it, and you only use it when you need it medicinally, okay? Because it still will cause pretty high glycation if you just eat it, straight out. All right, so how can we reduce glycation then? So what glycation is, it's when your sugar molecules attach to proteins and fats and they form those harmful chemicals, those AGEs, that make you age earlier, and they also are linked to chronic diseases, particularly diabetes, okay? But even if you don't even have diabetes or you've got no risk factors for it, glycation will still age you and open up your body to having the right environment for disease to come, okay? So we need to limit that. We need to really reduce it and stop it completely. And there are some tips that we can do that. First of all, when we have low glycation, when we can reduce it, it protects us against oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is what is needed in an environment to begin and promote any kind of disease state. So when we have oxidative stress, that's why we're all being told, let's have antioxidants, let's do all these things, okay? They reduce oxidative stress and free radical damage. And that's what we need on a cellular level to live long, okay? So glycation, they're finding, is actually, you can have all the amazing antioxidants that you want, but if you are causing huge glucose spikes all throughout the day when you're snacking, or just the type of food that you're having when you eat your meal, that's going to, cause that huge glucose spike. That glycation alone is just going to catch up to you, and it takes time. Usually it starts to be evident around the 40 years of age. So for those of us who are a bit older than that, we don't have to compare ages here, but that is when you start to notice, oh wow, yeah, I've had glycation for years, because it catches up and you can tell. What is also important to not having those glycation high glucose spikes is that it's going to protect you from the inflammation. So we know how much that plays a role in every single disease state. But what they're finding now is that it's not only physical diseases that are affected by glycation, but the number one thing it's doing to us is affecting our mind and causing dementia and cognitive function diseases. So we saw that the number 2 killer here in Australia, which shocked me, is actually Alzheimer's and dementia. And I know a lot of people who have had that recently, or I just happened to recently know about it, but I'm like, yeah, I didn't know it was so prevalent, but it actually is very prevalent. And who here, I'd like to see a show of hands. Somebody knows somebody who has dementia or Alzheimer's. Okay, well that's starting to make sense with these, statistics. So we want to not end up there, because it's a terrible, awful disease. So reducing that glycation is actually affecting, and it's going to help to prevent those mental brain diseases. And of course, we've got the whole improvement of skin health. Another thing that reducing glycation does is it supports our cardiovascular disease. So if we don't have glycation, we end up having nice, soft, pliable blood vessels. And what was the number 1 killer again? Yeah, and what was the number 3 killer? Stroke. You need to have stiff vessels for those things to happen, those two. So if we can reduce glycation, we're already giving ourselves a good fighting chance to not die by those top killers. That's a good thing, right? The brain function. This is what's incredible too. So we know, over the last few years, we've found out that dementia is basically the third diabetes. You heard that? So dementia is now even being called that. We know the gut is called the second brain, now dementia is the third diabetes. And why is that? Because it's caused by glycation. And let's not forget, it's not just all about the glucose spikes, but what causes those massive glucose spikes, and what's causing that glucose insulin issue in the body? Fat. Fat stops the insulin going into the cells, and then it's causing metabolic issues and diabetes, yeah? So we need to protect all of that, and our brain is the same. We can literally give ourselves dementia, and if you have diabetes, you've got a higher chance of having these cognitive issues as well. In fact, I personally know 2 people who started out having high cholesterol, then it turned into diabetes, and then it turned into dementia. There is a sequence that can happen. All right, and then let's not forget those metabolic health benefits. If we can lower that glycation, it's going to improve that insulin sensitivity and the glucose metabolism. Okay, so that's very important. Now let's look at a whole food plant-based diet. We know that these centenarians figured it out before science has now come to the party and realised how or why. But we know that eating as close to nature is always going to be a good start, yeah? Because it works well for all the animals out there that eat that way, right? And we are just able to get the same benefits of what these animals get by simply eating plants. In fact, do you know that one of my favourite foods on the planet is actually, does anyone know and remember from last time? What is it? My top is kind of this colour. Greens. Greens is what most animals on the whole planet eat, okay? Greens is what we also should eat abundance of, because greens are basically the best thing to give us longevity, to reduce glycation, but also to clean the blood, give us iron, give us calcium. There's actually a story of a guy who had a mental health disease, and he got put on a green-only diet. Did it for 7 years. And guess what? He came out all good and new, no more mental health. His name's Nebuchadnezzar. But hey, he didn't die, did he? Are we going to die if we just have plants? Come on. But also greens are super high in antioxidants. People forget that. We know the berries and all of those other colourful foods and herbs are fantastic, but greens are amazing. In fact, if you can only ever just eat greens, if that was all that you had access to out of the whole world, you'll be fine, even if it was just grass. All right. The great thing about whole food plant-based is that it is just naturally a very high fibre diet. You can't escape it. It's in the legumes, it's in the veggies, it's in the fruit, it's in the nuts, it's in the seeds. It's just everywhere you look. And why is that so important? Because we've already seen how having high butyrate production, which only happens when you have a good microbiome, is really the essence of having that foundation for longevity, okay? Not only physically, but emotionally and mentally. And in fact, you know that the number one prescription for people who have mental health disease, it's actually to go plant-based. It increases their mood and their cognitive function and even their stress states. So who would have thought that food could be medicine? We all knew that, right? Yeah. Just checking. Okay, but the number one thing that I love about it is cancer prevention, because we know that cancer is up there in that top 10. There was 4 different types of cancer in that top 10. Okay, and we're not even mentioning all of those other massive cancers that here in Australia are also quite large killers. So if we can reduce the number one, or not the number one cause, but one of the highest causes of death, which is heart disease and all of your strokes and your lung issues and then cancer, well already you've given yourself like a huge kickstart to longevity, haven't we? So cancer prevention, because we know that it's not only the best to prevent, because we're not having a lot of those causative factors such as diseases and antibiotics and hormones. Hormones is the biggest thing for cancer, yeah? So if we can cut those out from the very beginning, well then we can't get, we have a higher chance of not getting those issues, okay? And then of course, let's look at the phytonutrients aspect. So we know that the things that actually kill tumours and cancers and help to destroy them only comes from plants. It's all of your phytonutrients. So phyto meaning plant, and nutrients, are nutrients from plants. If we are not having, if you have cancer or you're trying to fight it or you just want to prevent it, if you're not eating a whole food plant-based diet that's full of all of these compounds, then you're not going to be able to prevent, and then if you have cancer, it's going to be very difficult to treat it and actually get a successful result at the end. And then what about Dan Buettner, the guy who went and found these 5 blue zones and did all the research? He has shown that these guys in the blue zones, they just don't even know what cancer is. If they have it, it's very rare, and they usually get over it. So remember before we were talking about resilience? If you have your body in the best condition to prevent disease, even if for some reason, there was a health breakdown, there was stress, there was different environmental factors that you might have been able to get disease, you can overcome it way better and quicker with a higher chance and likelihood of success than if you haven't had that foundation, okay? So he found out that these guys don't even know what cancer is. In fact, the death, what is the number one cause of death for the 5 blue zoners? It's old age. And guess how they go? The majority of them just go to bed one night feeling fantastic, and then they just don't come back, they don't wake up. If I'm going to go, that's how I want to go. I don't want to be in a bed hooked up to tubes and like, you know. So there's a lot of research here that shows us that there is a wonderful lifestyle that we can have and an abundant life that we can actually experience if we just give our body the right conditions. So what are some other longevity boosting foods? Of course, those greens. Now, I love all greens. I even love kale. Yes, I know, most of you don't, that's okay. Kale is amazing, but you know, any green, anything that is dark and green is going to be your best friend for longevity. Even if it was grass, okay? And I'm not even joking about that. Greens have all the nutrients that our bodies need, all the nutrients that our brain needs. It has the iron, it has the calcium, it has everything. And I always get these funny people who say, but what about the calcium on a plant-based diet? Oh, you must be so decrepit. Look at the animal on the planet that has like the highest and largest bone density. What is that? Elephant. Big old elephant. Is he drinking like 50 gallons of milk a day? He's just eating greens, leaves and grass. And yet his bone density is huge and way more than us. And they just like never break and hurt themselves. It's just not a thing. The other thing is their muscular system is massive, right? Biggest land animal. Their muscles are huge. And what do? Do they go to the gym and work it out so that they're strong?
No.
Or should I just eat plants and then see if you can grab some fatty? You've got a bash. Give it a pull. Bash me. Yeah. Right? I'm so weak. I'm dying. Try and pull something. So all I'm saying is, I eat plants. I have the strongest bone density. I've like fallen off horses and done all sorts of stuff. I'm fine. And muscles are not an issue for me, all right? But also for us, having greens every single day, it's actually going to give you the best longevity foundation to your diet. So who here likes greens? Who here's going to start liking them? Even if you've got a blocky nose and skull. One of the easiest ways, if you're not a huge fan of eating them, although I do recommend that you eat some of them, because that cellulose is what helps to produce those butyrates in your gut. But if you can't stomach eating so much of them, just juice it. Pure greens juiced, skull, and block your nose. You'll be fine. It's never killed anybody. It's never killed anybody. And why would that be good? Now, don't juice with fruit, because that's going to destroy, we don't want glycation, all right? But if you have just a veggie concentrated green juice, it's giving you all the nutrients, super, super concentrated. Just to get a cup about this big, you're looking at 4 to 5 cups of greens, right? So how much is that? You could never physically eat that much. But if you drank that much every day, oh my goodness, your body's going to love you, your skin's going to love you, okay? Now, turmeric, it comes back in when it comes to longevity boosting because not only is it antioxidant, but it also reduces cancer cells. It literally has been shown to kill cancer cells. And actually, can we talk about greens when it comes to killing cancer cells? They've got some current research that shows that if you drink broccoli juice or eat broccoli sprouts, because they're the top, broccoli sprouts is actually the top cancer killer out of like 5 or 6 of the main top 10 killers. So whether it's colon cancer, breast cancer, you know, ovarian cancer, whatever cancer it is, type of cancer, broccoli sprouts has been shown to kill those cells. So how do we get broccoli sprouts? You just buy broccoli seeds and sprout it and eat it like any other sprout. You can actually buy them at some really good grocers. But if you can't do all of that, just eat a broccoli or juice it. And what they found in the current research is that they got a whole bunch of breast cancer patients who had last stage metastatic breast cancer. They got them to drink half a cup of broccoli juice, which is like 1 head juiced. And guess what? 20 minutes later, they found the broccoli nutrients, the sulforaphane, at the actual site of the breast cancer, and it was gobbling it up. Wow. So every single cancer patient of mine, especially my breast cancers and my colons and all of them, I get them to drink broccoli juice every day. That's the only, like, don't even bother trying to fight cancer unless you're having your greens, but in particular, have your broccoli sprouts or your broccoli. Okay, berries. We know how important that is. Amazing to combat all of that oxidative stress and stops those chronic disease production. And if you have disease, those anthocyanins, which are found in the really dark purple, blue kind of products. In fact, who here knows about the Queen Garnet plum? Anyone? I think they're coming out of the shops any minute. That is the highest anthocyanine product that we can get here in Australia. It's got 4 times the amount than blueberries. So if you can get yourself a Queen Garnet plum, they're black, right? Or very purpley black. They're going to be coming up in the shops now, so eat in season to get those, but you can actually get the freeze-dried powder, and that's amazing as well. But all of your berries, amazing, especially when it comes to lowering that risk of several different types of cancer. Now, we can't talk about disease prevention and cancer prevention without actually talking about cruciferous. I've already spoken about broccoli, and if there's one cruciferous that you're going to eat broccoli over every other one. I love the kales, I love the cauliflowers, I love the Brussels sprouts, but when it comes to cancer, that would be your number one, okay? So if you have a choice out of the, 4 or 5 different types, go broccoli. Also too, whole grains, we know how important they are, and when I say whole grains, it should actually look like a grain, still, when you get it. As soon as we even mill whole grains and they become a flour, it's not a problem, you can do it and make the most amazing bread, but you've increased the ability of a glucose spike, okay, because we've refined it, not taken the fibre out, but we've broken the fibre down already. But then, it's just still not as good for the roughage and for the gut microbiome than eating it and chewing it whole, okay? So do try and have whole grains, like literally still intact. Garlic, of course, we know is super important when it comes to disease fighting without oculars. It's one of the best for your precursors for cardiovascular disease. So we're talking about any kind of cholesterol, triglyceride, anything like that. Garlic will literally melt that stuff out of your body. So what you want to do is eat it raw, because when you cook it, you don't get as many benefits. And then also too, we want to try and have it with lemon. When you have raw garlic with lemon, for cardiovascular health and for cholesterol, it seems to work better than just having it on its own. There's actually a drink that you can make where you just blend up a whole bunch of garlic with lemon rind and lemon juice. You know that one? Bit of water, let it sit, and then you blend it all up and you drink that. And that actually, take a couple of tablespoons every day, that will start to really just melt the plaque and the cholesterol out of your body. Fantastic for heart disease. What they found as well is that when it comes to those other issues that cholesterol can cause, so think about problems with impotence in men and erectile dysfunction. So that's caused because of too much plaque buildup. And they found that if you can get somebody to eat like the equivalent of 10 cloves of garlic a day for 3 days, it'll clear that out, and then women, you get your men back, okay? So that's just good to know. All right, so what about catechins? So these are compounds that are found very high in green tea, as well as in all of your dark coloured berries, so your blackberries, your plums again, they're also in those Queen Garnet plums, and also apples. And what they actually do is they protect your heart. We know that they're super high in antioxidants. I usually steer clear from green tea. I don't think, it has other issues in there that I don't like because it affects your gut health. And so because as a naturopath it's all about the gut, even though it might be good for antioxidants, because it affects the gut, I stay clear. It's the same with things like cinnamon. Cinnamon's amazing for blood glucose control, but guess what? It affects your gut lining. So I stay away from it. So you've got to sort of weigh up things, but that's just what I recommend. But there's a whole bunch of other berries and goodies that you can take. So these are fantastic. Nuts, of course, are huge in the longevity zone. In particular, walnuts are kind of the king when it comes to longevity. And you know why? Because they're one of the best nuts for cancer prevention. So you know every single day, each one of us, we are going through cancer cells. Hundreds of thousands of them every day. We've got to deal with it. If you can deal with it, not a problem. You'll have no cancer come. But if you can't deal with it, then the cancer will actually form and you'll end up, with tumours or blood cancers or whatever it might be. So what they found is that for cancer, out of all the nuts, all nuts are amazing, but if you're going to choose one over the others, go walnuts as your first choice. Okay? Pecans are very good and almonds are good as well. But when it comes to disease prevention, the walnuts is the trump. If you have cancer, 60 grams a day is what's recommended. Okay? All right, let's talk about legumes because I love my legumes. Second to my favourite food on the planet, which of course was greens, is now legumes. So legumes is something that they have found that if you eat just 1 cup a day, which is really just a tin's worth, okay, that you've taken the liquid out of, that will give you 4 extra years of life by just doing that alone. All you're doing is you're adding that into your already diet, whatever your diet is like. So who wants to live longer just by eating some legumes each day? Now, who here likes legumes naturally? Anybody? Half and half. Okay, sometimes people don't like the consistency or they don't know what to do with the actual legume and it kind of scares them. They're like, I don't want to just eat a chickpea or a lentil, right? And that's okay because there are so many things you can do. The easiest way is just to bind and grind that stuff up with flavours and you've got yourself dips. I like to make bread out of it, okay? And I like to make flatbread. I actually make all my breads and anything that would typically be made out of a grain, I make it from legumes. And it's incredible and low glucose spikes and all that kind of stuff, okay? So you can get it in any way you like. Even just actually roasting legumes and putting it on top of salads as a crunchy aspect. That's a really nice way just to add it in without it being too, typically legume with the consistency. So,
is there much difference between getting fresh legumes or getting in a tin? Is there an issue with tinned or?
Look, the only issue with tinned is that, of course, you've got the BPA issue, okay? But this research has been found on tinned legumes, not on like dried and, soaked and cooked yourself, although that's great if you've got the time to do it, I'd recommend that. In fact, to go a step further, the ideal if you have time and energy is to soak it, sprout it, and then cook it. And the sprout just needs to be the little tiny tail that pokes his head out. Once he's out, you can cook him, and that actually reduces a lot of that gaseous exchange that can take place. But another thing too that they found, if you seem to struggle with any of the gas from that high silicon, all you have to do is obviously rinse it really, really well, cook it really, really well, or just make sure that you have the equivalent of 1/4 cup of legumes every single day for a month, and that will get your body used to it, and then you'll stop having any kind of reactions or bloats or gas. So that's really good to know. So do persevere with it. It's worth it for 4 extra years of life, yeah? But now when it comes to legumes, is there any that are better than others? They're all amazing. In fact, having the colours and the varieties is always good. So don't just stick to chickpeas. I know that that's the really common, beautiful, nice one. But do try black beans and do try pinto beans and do try your whole soybeans. In fact, a really nice way to get your legumes in is through fresh soybeans. You know the green ones, edamames? So they're amazing. You can buy them now already pre-shelled, so you don't even have to do the shelling anymore, so that's fantastic. Okay, so do get any legume in that you like and change it up a bit. If we're talking about cancer prevention in particular, so chickpeas and also lupinis are the best ones for cancer prevention or treatment. Okay, so that's just a side note. All right, let's look at a legume that has had a bit of a bad rap, but I'm here to tell you that this is like one of the top best legumes. If you're going to eat any legume, and you should have it every day, is soy. Okay, soy is a legume, it's just another bean, okay? Why did it get a bad rap? The only reason is because there was a company that lost money because someone found out that you could make milk from soybeans. Okay? But the whole complaint with soy has always been it's estrogen-like, right? Have you heard that? Phytoestrogen? Except for that it's only estrogen-like, it's actually not estrogen. Okay? And this is the interesting thing. When it comes to soy, all the research shows and has only been tested on GMO soy, the soy that I don't even recommend, but that has shown to increase longevity, to help prevent cancers, and to treat cancers. This is the GMO one. So there's no problem with soy, even if you get the normal GMO one. But I would recommend, if you can, get the organic one, because organic's better for every reason. But what does it do? It actually protects your estrogen sites, those phytoestrogens, so estrogen sites in men and women, because we've got them, and it protects you from the damaging estrogen. And the interesting thing is it's the #1 preventer and treater for those sex-type hormone cancers, breast, ovarian, and prostate. And what are we told, or what do the doctors say when you get those cancers? What do they tell you? Have whole milk, right? Stay off soy. Except soy prevents and actually treats it, and milk is one of the contributing factors of actually having those sex cancers. Interesting, right? And they use up the whole phytoestrogen card, but guess what has the highest amount of phytoestrogens on the planet? Or one of the highest? Something that nobody has a problem with because you can't make milk from it. Flax seeds. So if you're worried about soy, stop eating flaxseed. because it's the same thing. But actually, flaxseed is amazing. You should keep eating it. 3 tablespoons of ground flaxseed a day would be the way. All right. We know it supports cardiovascular health, okay? So what was the number 1 pillar here? Right, number 3 pillar? Stroke, which is cardiovascular, right? So we need to have soy because what it does is it takes out the cholesterol, it helps with blood pressure. Blood pressure will cause a stroke, so will cholesterol, all right? Also too, it has been found to increase longevity. So soy on its own will increase longevity, any way you like it. They found just half a cup of soy milk a day, or a quarter of a cup of edamame, or a tablespoon of miso. That's how much you need, which will give you about 17 milligrams of the isoflavones. And that's that phytonutrient that's going to protect you from cancer and treat it. So when I have cancer patients, guess what? They've been doing the dairy, and they've got cancer. I take them off the dairy, I put them on massive amounts of soy, and guess what? They overcome the cancer. So if it caused it, how does it help heal it? Doesn't make sense, right? All right, what about these other cancers? The breast and the prostate, and what they found, so you know in Japan, where they drink a lot of soy milk, eat a lot of soybeans, miso, all that kind of stuff, right? They had very, very low breast cancer risks and never really, had much of it until Western diet moved in, the dairy moved in, and then guess what? Now it's up to like Westerners, same amounts. And so what they found is they've taken tests from people who were Japanese and then who have, lived in that traditional diet, then moved to like America, and then they've tested them, and their chance of breast cancer increases like 3-fold just because of the dietary change. And then what they've also found is they got people who never would eat a soybean or drink a soy milk, people from Texas, okay, and they got them just regular people who had breast cancer, and they got them to start having their half a cup of soy milk a day, and guess what? All of their cancer rates started dropping. Just that alone, soy milk. Okay, so it's pretty incredible. All right, it improves bone health. What were we talking about bone health before? We need our greens, but we also need some good protein, okay, because protein plays a role in the matrices of our bone density. So fantastic for people who may have a risk to osteoporosis and anyone who's gone through menopause. Everybody knows that if you've gone through menopause, you need to start taking care of your bones even more. In fact, even before you go through menopause, it's ideal. And what about the question of, I get this a lot from the men, am I going to grow boobies if I start having soy? Right? Because we've all heard about the soy boys, right? But guess what? Do you know that soy has been shown to increase testosterone in men? So if you want to be more manly, you better start having your soy. And it also reduces the estrogen from men. So you lose your girly hormones and you increase your men hormones. And I can tell you from the women who have got their men onto soy, it really helps. Okay? All right. It helps with weight management, that blood sugar control, and anti-inflammatory effects. So it really is one of my top legumes on the planet. So I eat it every day, and even if you can't afford organic, you're still better off, even if it's GMO. It doesn't even, it's all the research has been done on GMO soy. All right, let's look at turmeric. Herbs. We know I've already mentioned this in the past, how amazing it is, but how do we get turmeric into our diet? A couple of little tricks. Either get it raw from your local grocery and just peel it, and I prefer to juice it. And this is my favourite mix of longevity mix, which is good for actually everything. I like fresh turmeric root, fresh ginger root, fresh lemon juice, and then a little bit of cayenne pepper, and I just juice all of that into concentrated juice, put them in ice cube trays, freeze them, and every day I just have myself one of those ice cubes. And I only do it like once a month, because I'll buy a few roots, and so it's no effort, really. You can even just blend it up if you don't have a juicer. Blend it all up with a little bit of water and then strain it through a cloth, and that is going to be one of the best anti-inflammatory longevity mixes of herbs, and it's a really tasty, yummy drink, I think. It's one of the best ways to start your day. And guess what? It's not going to break your fast, so you can have it in the morning before you open your goblet. Yep, you can thank me later. All right. Now, if you can get ginseng as well, which you won't be able to, trust me, that's fantastic, but you can start drinking that as a herbal tea, because ginseng and ashwagandha, including rhodiola as well, are wonderful adaptogenics. So what they do is they help with any kind of residual stress. They also help to lower cortisol and glucose. which is what we don't want to keep spiking and causing glycation. Cortisol is a glucocorticosteroid. So what I'm saying is when you have stress, that fight or flight, high cortisol, it affects your pancreas, it causes huge glucose spikes, and that's how you end up having guts, okay, stomachs. If you have like abdominal obesity, that's usually a stress thing, okay, but it's also a glycation thing. So see how that works? So if you want to help to reduce those stresses, you need to have some extra adaptogenic support. We all know about ashwagandha, which is also called Withania somnifera. This is my favourite out of all three that I just mentioned, because it actually affects not only reducing your cortisol, but it improves your sleep. Because when you have high cortisol, you can't sleep well. And when you can't sleep well, it affects your longevity. So ashwagandha is my favourite, and it also gives you resilience over those other ones. What about holy basil? I actually grow this at home. It's a really thin looking leafed basil. Just tastes like basil, not as strong. But 6 leaves of that a day will actually help to control blood glucose. That's going to help. If you have that every meal, it will help to reduce that glycation. Rosemary, of course, is fantastic. We know that that affects your cognitive function. So eat rosemary, drink it, just make a tea from the fresh rosemary, or even diffuse the essential oils, especially if you need to, if you're studying or you're trying to recall information, okay? What about help for our liver, especially any kind of poisons really, because the number one killer is a heart issue, right? And usually the heart stuff starts after liver issues, okay? It starts with liver, then that affects your heart and your blood vessels. So milk thistle, we know, actually reduces cholesterol. It also protects and helps you from any kind of poisons. So you know we have a lot of poisons in our environment and lifestyle, and sometimes you don't know, you might be getting something contaminated and you don't even know, right? But this is like a little protective measure. So I recommend taking milk thistle. It's going to destroy a lot of toxins that you're subject to. In fact, it's the only herb on the planet that has been shown to reverse poisoning from the death cap mushroom. The only herb. Did you hear recently how that lady killed those people with the mushroom? Oh, if only they knew about that, I would have got them on that straight away. It would have saved them. But people don't know. So this is like incredible. In Europe, they give massive doses, like 40,000, 50,000. Because over there, mushroom poisoning is a real thing still today. And that's their go-to. You don't go to hospital, you just go and take some silymarin. That's what they do. So incredible. Anyway, so I think it's wonderful to do that just to protect us from any poisons and toxins and pollutants that we're subject to. And let's not forget sage, amazing for our digestive system, our brain again, it's another brain one, and also for ladies who are having menopausal symptoms. Okay, ginkgo biloba again, amazing for brain health because it increases microcirculation. In fact, it's important for a lot of health because it crosses the blood-brain barrier and it can actually increase microcirculation to your telomeres. Okay, so telomeres, when they are not functioning properly and when they're shortened, you have loss of lifespan. It reduces your longevity. And then one of my favourites, which I think we should all have every day as well, is amla. So who here knows about amla? Yes, amla is the Indian gooseberry. I actually grow it as well at home. I've got an amazing garden and herbal garden as well. But amla is, we all know gooseberries, yeah? So it's just an Indian gooseberry. It is one of the best when it comes to reducing glycation, that glucose spike. It's one of the best for diabetics. In fact, do you know that a quarter of a teaspoon twice a day works better, clinically tested, than metformin? Wow. So do you have to be on some of these medications? Not if you're doing the right thing and you have a wonderful substitute. It reduces glycation. Now, even if you don't have diabetes, you should have some of this every day as part of your meal. So just put it in a drink and have it at the beginning of your meal because that's going to reduce your glucose spike, and also too, we know how that's going to affect your longevity, okay, and everything else. So amla, where do you get it from? You just get it from an Indian shop. Go in there, ask them for amla powder, and you'll find bags of the stuff. It's like a couple of bucks. And all you need is, well, I recommend half a teaspoon a day, okay, but you can have more. And if you have really bad uncontrolled diabetes and you're actually taking insulin injections, then you need to have more. But speak to your naturopath about that. So amazing for that. But it also affects your heart health as well, because it brings down your blood pressure and your cholesterol levels. It also boosts your immune system. It also helps digestion and, of course, the blood glucose issue. So are you glad that you know about that now? Start doing it. It's like an easy hack to start adding in, okay? All right, so let's have a look at sun exposure. Let's just talk about us here who live in Queensland in this beautiful Brisbane region. We don't need that much as long as we get it consistently. So really most days of the week you should be having sun exposure, but it needs to be early morning sun or late afternoon sun, before 10, after 3, okay, for where we live. And you really want to do the sun smart thing when it comes to those, 10 to 3 kind of hours when the UV is really high, because it doesn't even matter if it's overcast, you know it's going to affect you. So even the centenarians, they spend a lot of time outside. A lot of them have a nap in the middle of the day. I love that idea. I think we should start employing that as well. But also too, they are very sun smart if they're out in the middle of the day. So the big old hats, the big long sleeves, they're very, very careful when it comes to sun exposure in those heat of the day times. All right, so 15 to 30 minutes is usually what we need. If you're beautiful and brown, and there are some of you here, I'm so jealous, you get to go longer. So you're very lucky without the sunburn issues. All right, what about fresh air? What was our number 3 killer? Number 4 killer? Lungs. And I think it was like number 7 after diabetes. There was other chronic like COVID and these flu type things. You can die from that stuff, right? You'll die from any flu if you are susceptible, if your lungs are not working properly. So let's have a look at how this will help. I don't know why this is doing this. Is it me or am I moving too much? But basically, the fresh air thing plays a massive role. All of these 5 blue zones, even the one in the US, is in the bush. It's literally in the bush. It's away from smoke, smog, water that can be actually contaminated and things like that. So it's always good to have a country home, yeah? But if you have to live where there is these kind of environmental factors, all you have to do is be smart about it. Keep your windows shut, have a whole bunch of plants inside, and even start employing ionizers, okay, and purifiers, because they do cut down on a lot of those factors that can cause lung issues, okay? So I'm very lucky. I have a really nice electric car, and they have a proper ionizer in the car. So I can have a truck in front of me and have the air coming in from outside, and it tells me like what the pollution levels are, and then it cuts it down, and it even shuts it off if it's too much, and then it ionizes it while it's in the car. So that's really cool. But you don't need to do that. You just need to make sure that you are careful when it comes to those smoggy type of situations, okay? But plants are going to be your best, so put plants everywhere. It's important to try and avoid things like smokes and pollutants. So we know that there's so many cases now of people who have obviously got lung cancers because of smoke. And it's not always just cigarette, smoke, even though they weren't smokers themselves. But it's also from having a fire inside your house. So a lot of the third world countries, they're cooking in their house, and the cases and the rates of lung cancer are astronomical. Okay, so even normal fire, the smoke is harmful for you. Even, anything like that, okay? Even the smell of new carpets and...
Can I replace the battery?
Sure, let's go. I'll just keep going.
Yep.
Even, that new car smell or the new carpet smell, new paint, all of that stuff actually really greatly affects our lung health. And then the other thing that they've found as well is having air conditioners on all the time. That will affect your air quality. And heaters. Heaters is worse because it takes the oxygen out of the air. And so you might look like you're surrounded by air, but the quality is super low. And then, of course, you can have all of those issues. One thing that I like to do is to actually practice deep breathing. And I like to do that a couple of times throughout the day. And how do I remind myself? Because whoever reminds yourself to deep breathe, no one does until you lay down at night and you go, oh, that's your first deep breath you've done for the day, right? So what I like to do is just to print out some little laminated signs that say breathe. take 10 deep breaths. And then guess what I do? When I see it, and by the way, I've got one in my car, I've got one at the sink while I'm washing. It's like, oh, this is so boring. Oh yeah, I should take 10 deep breaths. I'll take my 10 deep breaths. But put it in places where you will be reminded, because you literally will not breathe otherwise. We're all just going to diaphragmically breathe. We're all just going to shallow breathe and not diaphragmically breathe. So doing those deep breaths. But I want to show you a trick that's really helpful for if you are stressed and you need to totally reset your entire nervous system. The best hack of deep breathing for that is literally 2 really sharp deep breaths. So you take one really big deep breath in and then follow that by another big deep breath without breathing out in between. Okay, so all you do is just go. I actually did too, believe it or not. Let me show you again. So it's like, and then you hold it and then just slowly out. That has reset me. I need to go to sleep.
I was just going to ask, I've heard that we should breathe in and out of our nose when we do deep breathing,
Yes.
anyway, not through our mouth.
That's right. To reset the nervous system, you have to go in your mouth because you can't get it through the nostrils fast enough. But for your 10 deep breaths, which you should do as many times a day as possible, you want to breathe in your nose, hold it like 5 seconds, and then breathe out, okay? So deep breath in, hold, and then out through the mouth.
What about out through the nose? Does it make any difference?
Yeah, it does. You exhale more lung debris through the mouth than the nose. Yeah, but the nose is good to go through when you want to filter what you're about to breathe in. So yeah, but for the nervous reset, nervous system reset, it has to be quick 2 mouth breaths, okay? So try that next time you feel a little bit stressed, because it will actually just reset everything. You feel so good. In fact, I feel super chill and relaxed now. All right.
Do you want to learn how to breathe in through the nose and the mouth at the same time?
Yeah.
Like opera singers do.
Yeah.
I was taught this because I can do a bit of opera singing.
Nice.
Yawn.
Okay.
That's it. When you yawn, you drop your jaw, you can breathe in through your nose and your mouth at the same time. And you can breathe in 10 times quicker.
Cool. Can you show us? Can you demonstrate that? Okay.
That was it. That was a full breath.
Nice.
Instead of going, it's
Nice. Thank
drop
you.
the jaw. It's just like yawning.
I love it. So let's try that. You've got a couple of hacks there for the breathing. Let's start doing it. Even if you start with just putting those reminder cards out. And one of the best things you can do just to have better quality air, of course, is to get those indoor plants. Peace lilies are kind of the best ones, and those rubbery type plants, those ornamental figs and things like that, they're really good. So what about sleep? Do you know that you can do everything that I've mentioned and do it perfectly to a T, but if you burn the candle at both ends, you're going to die young. So sleep is one of the most important factors because it's been shown that sleep deprivation is a form of torture and you will die from it within days, right? I mean, I've been catching up with family since I've been back down in Brisbane, and guess what? I feel like I'm half dead already because I go to bed at 8:30 every night. And when I was here, I went to bed the other night, don't throw a stone at me, 1:30. Because we had a whole year of catching up to do, it took a while. So sorry about that. But anyway, look, it's not what you do once in a while, it's what you do every day that counts, so I know I'm good because I do everything right. But when it comes to the sleeping, that guy who I was telling you about, Brian Johnson, who spent the millions of dollars working on the Blueprint program, he has made his bedroom to be, he's rich, right? So the room's huge and beautiful, but just totally blacked out. No light ever comes in. He never uses a phone, computer, nothing in there, and it is nowhere near an EMF. He's got his EMF sort of devices on the other side of the house. So what we already all knew is that any form of light in your room at night time will affect your sleep quality. You might be asleep snoring away for 8 hours, but you're actually not getting quality sleep. You're not getting REM sleep. Who here remembers the last time they had a dream? Did anyone have a dream last night? Yeah, I had an awesome dream. It was about my hair, but anyway. I have a dream every night because I get into REM. But guess what? The 2 nights ago when I had the 1:30, I never dreamt, right? If you are not having a dream, you don't have to remember it, but as long as you know you had one, that means you've got into REM. But if you're not having dreams, I know people who say, I haven't dreamt for years. I literally don't dream. And when I work out, oh yeah, they're actually only reaching stage 4. They're never getting into REM. Right? Okay, so what he does is he actually only uses his REM for sleep only. And there's no stimuli in there, there's nothing. It's full of plants and it's black. And that's just how and now he's reduced, as I said, his age. He's like 4, I think he's my age, like mid-40s. And he is now like 17 years old, according to all of his biomedical data. So he has reduced that, and he said sleep is the one thing. He said, I purposely will not even go out, to talk or to do anything or catch up with friends. They will know, nothing's affecting my sleep. So good to know, right?
Does he have his window open and things like that as well?
I think he has like special ionizing filtration in his whole house because he's got the dosh. But he does everything right because he's literally being tested and monitored, all aspects of him. And you should just go and check him out, okay, Brian Johnson, because it'll blow your mind at his before and after. And he's only been doing this for like 2 years. So it's amazing how much we can improve ourselves within a short amount of time. So, okay, let's get back to sleep. We know it promotes cellular repair and maintenance. If we don't sleep, do you know that our brain can't reset? And you know what the craziest thing is? They found that students, because I'm actually a professional student, right? Because I'm a teacher as well, and I teach, for a range of tertiary organisations. But when students go and do the cram the night before their test and exam, they actually have worse results than if they have a good night's sleep, even if they didn't do the extra study. Right? So you can't underestimate how much our brain actually has to rest and sleep and detox. And we all know that shift workers have a lower lifespan because of those shifts of working all through the night. My mum's a nurse. And they're just known nurses and doctors and people who just work at night are known to have, I can't remember what the amount is, but I feel like it's around the 4 or 5 year mark, less life just because of shift work. That's the sleep component only. We're not even talking about diet and all the rest. So we've got to be careful. Another thing it does, of course, is regulate our metabolic health. You can never get ahead or above of chronic diseases if you are not sleeping. Okay, especially when it are things like diabetes or metabolic disease or obesity type linked diseases. So think of your heart disease and all of those. If you're not sleeping, you're actually going to set yourself up, for a lot of other issues. In fact, people who have cardiovascular disease and go to bed after 12 o'clock are going to end up having a stroke within 5 years. That's just what the data says. So it's pretty crazy. We know that it also boosts our immune function when we sleep. It protects us against cognitive decline. So again, our number one killer here, can you believe it? I think it's actually a lot of because we don't sleep here in Australia. We don't know how to sleep properly. We don't have good bedtime routines. We burn the candle at both ends, and we definitely don't go to bed within a few hours of the sun going down. But I think we should try and aim towards an earlier bed night, yeah? So let's have a look at how stress plays a massive role. Because stress kills. Do you know that you can do everything right, but if you have stress or you're not using any kind of adaptogenic support or help, you will die before you have a chance to live for a long time, okay? So how can we reduce stress? There's actually a few main ways. Remember before I was talking about the telomeres? So stress speeds up the shortening of your telomeres, and the telomere length shows your longevity, okay? And these are your little protective cuts, and these are linked with your cellular aging. So it's not about how you look if you've got a crinkle or not, it's all about what your cell health is and age. And so there are some things that help with that. Of course, all those stress lowering type measurements, doing that deep breathing for the resetting of your nervous system, but also to making sure that you're having that support, such as ashwagandha, get onto that if you're going to use any of them. That's going to really help. But we're going to have a look at a moment how that community aspect and having those really nice ties and volunteerism and all of those kind of things actually help you with your telomere length and with stress reduction and management. So very, very important. Also to your mental health, okay, is actually affected when you have stress. So you're not even all there when you're under stress, okay? So do watch out for that. And of course your immune system is impaired if your stress is not dealt with or controlled. So let's having a look at how that community and having a purpose and having faith, like these 5 blue zoners, can actually increase your longevity and lifespan. So having a sense of purpose has actually been tested. They've done a lot of research to show if you feel like you've got a purpose in life, whatever it is, I've got grandkids I need to live for, or I've just had a kid and I want to lose my weight and get strong so I can run around with them and play with them, right? Having a sense of purpose is the difference between you wanting to live and putting time and effort into those longevity practices and lifestyle changes than not. So I hope that we all have a few senses of purpose, why we want to stay here and live longer, and how we, just being here and present in this world, can make a difference to others. I know that's one of the reasons I want to live long. It's not just all about me. I don't want to be like, oh, she's the one who was teaching blue zones for 50 years and now she's 120. I want it to be like, wow, you know what? I knew this girl called Candice, and because of her example, it's helped me to overcome this disease. I'm living longer. I can stay around for my kids. I want to live here and make a difference in this world. And I'm sure that all of us do, yeah? We've all got our own reasons, don't we? So having that sense of community plays a massive role as well. They've actually done research and have found that people who engage in spiritual and faith-based practices not only help them with reducing that stress in their life, but it also gives them that sense of belonging. And you know what? One thing that I've actually found is that when I have somebody who has cancer, they've been told, there's nothing more we can do, go home, write your will. And I say to them, you know what? Why do you want to live? Do you actually want to live? I've actually asked people, do you want to live? And some have said, I don't want to. I'm ready to go. It's like, okay, that's fine. But those who say, yeah, I want to live because of this, that, and the other, I say to them, I want you to go and do something. I'm going to prescribe to you that you need to go and start volunteering and doing something for somebody else that will not give you any kind of reward or benefit. And I had this one lady, and she was a negative Nancy, you know the type, like sour, they don't know how to smile, and had no friends, had no community, had no sense of purpose. She had no children or family, like she was just alone in this world, and it was really sad. But when she came to me with cancer and she said, I'm dying here, I said, okay, I'd like you to start going and doing something for someone. And she's like, what? But I'm dying. I'm like, yeah, you're going to die sooner with that attitude, but let's change that. I want you, when you go home, to actually go to your next door neighbours and just say to them, hi, I'm such and such, and you don't know me because I've never said hello, but I'm dying from cancer. And I want you to know that I'd like to have a drink with you. Come over, I'll make you a herbal tea that my naturopath told me I should drink, and let's get to know each other, right? And she's like, I don't want to do that. I haven't spoken to them. I've lived there for 50 years. I'm like, that's okay. Can you just write a letter to them? Write a letter to the people who are just around you, across the road on both sides, and just say to them, hi, I'm your neighbour from 24. Would you like to catch up with me? And so guess what? She did it. I spoke to her a couple of weeks later, and she said, I've caught up with my 2 across next door neighbours and my 2 side neighbours. And now we're going to a walking group together with the other one we're doing, this, that, and the other, and she started to have community. She started to just have someone else in this world to put time and effort into besides her dwelling on all of her problems and issues. Because that's the sure way to die early. If you focus on yourself and all your problems and your issues, you're not going to live long. And many people won't want to be around you because, not nice, right? Anyway, can I tell you the good news though with this lady? Not only did she get a sense of community and start smiling and having fun and doing stuff, she overcame her cancer. And it took way less than what I thought because I thought she's a hard nut to crack. But she cracked herself, and she cracked the code on what life is really about. It's about purpose, it's about having friends, community, and feeling a sense of well-being. There's nothing more powerful than that. They've also done an amazing research on people who actually read the Bible. And I love reading Proverbs. Has anyone ever read those Proverbs? They're the wise sayings. And they've actually found that people who read Proverbs increase their IQ percentage. Now, I don't know about you, but I want to be as smart as I can. And I hope that has done that. And you learn also through the Proverbs how to deal with everyday life issues. Like it says, if somebody does this, if somebody's got problems with you, go and buy them a gift and give it to them in secret. And guess what? One time I had this problem where somebody really hated me. And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I opened up the proverb and I read it, and it said, go and buy a gift and give it to them in secret for someone who hates you, right? And I'm like, okay, I'll do it. I found out what their favourite thing was. I went and bought it. I went and put it at their place and didn't say who it's from because you've got to give it in secret, right? So I did. Anyway, it took about 2 weeks. That person came to me and said, I know you gave me that gift. And I'm like, what? How did you know? Because you're the only one who's ever been nice to me when I've treated you really badly. And I'm like, okay. And that proverb was true. We became friends. We're still friends today. And it was all because of that proverb. So start reading the Proverbs. It's going to help your IQ, but also too, it helps with just having that sense of community and just having that stress relief. It's incredible. Also, there are some things that we need to steer clear of, okay? Environmental factors. These things are going to affect your longevity, and they come in many different ways and shapes and forms. So toxins, we know about the air pollution, the pesticides, chemicals, all of that kind of stuff. They're going to, set you up for chronic diseases, but also reduce your healthy aging. What about forever toxins? We've all heard about those, yeah? So forever toxins, which are mainly like your PFAs, these are what they say. Once you have them, they're very difficult to get out of you. You can, but you want to really try and avoid contact. And where do we get these PFAs from? They're from things that are usually in our home environments. So you've got your non-stick cookware, okay, that'll give that to you. Even if it's BPA free, it's still usually PFA unless it says, but still I wouldn't risk it. The other things as well is your water repellent fabrics. So you spray it on your shoes to not get your shoes wet, on your suede shoes, or on your carpets, or even on your lounges. So those kind of things. You're better off having like a cover on top of that and don't worry about stains instead of using that stuff, because once it's there, especially imagine sitting on it with your skin with all of those tiny mouths that are absorbing those poisons. So just be careful of that. And then of course, heavy metals. Heavy metals is a huge thing. It's linked to nearly every disease state. It's always linked to cognitive decline and dementia and Alzheimer's. Every time I have patients with those, we get the heavy metals tested, super high off the chart. And guess what we have here in Australia? It's not only the arsenic because of all the mercury-laden fish that we eat and seafood products, but it's actually cadmium, we have arsenic, and we also have thallium. These are the top ones here in Australia. So, yeah, if you struggle with really long, prolonged health issues and diseases, you really want to get those things tested. So go and see a good naturopath, they'll help you with that. Artificial additives, colours, preservatives, all of those things, we know that they're not awesome. If you have something once in a blue moon, you go to a kid's birthday party, you know that's a red colour dye. It's not going to kill you, but don't do it every day, okay? That's the moral of the story. Alright, so all of those things we know are not awesome. We know tobacco, of course, is a killer. None of these five blue zoners are anywhere near cigarettes or cigarette smell or even the secondhand smoke. It's not a thing. And there's reasons why they live so long, right? Animal products, we know that has been linked to the top killers. Okay, heart disease, animal products, fats, and proteins. It's not just the fats, okay, which we're realising these days. And then, of course, excess oils and fats. We often don't think of that as an issue, but that does play a role. In these blue zones, they don't really use a lot of refined things, including oils. Okay, a lot of stuff is like water stir fried, and if they have oil, it's very rare. So that's just good to know. Coffee and alcohol. Both of these are linked with a reduced lifespan. And the sad thing with the coffee is that it's so highly promoted, okay, except for that it affects every single aspect. It affects your sleep, of course, but it affects the acidity in your body. It robs your bones of calcium. But guess what it does that a lot of people don't realise? It increases anxiety. And mental health plays a massive role in preventing disease and, of course, having longer lifespan. So we need to stop anything like that. So that's why I'm not a fan of like anything that has caffeine and stuff like that. So that's all pretty self-explanatory. Processed foods we know are not awesome. Okay, so reduce that, your added sugars. And even now we know the biggest thing is just not doing anything, just being sedentary. So just move as much as you can. It doesn't have to be going to a gym, but be active, okay? All right, so it's now time for our question and answers. But before we get into that, I just want to share a couple of goodies. There's so many amazing books out here, awesome cookbooks, I would recommend them. This one here is great, The Fighting Disease with Foods, because it actually has a list of the different foods, what the health benefit is. And so if you have a certain health benefit, you can search for that and go, oh, I need to be eating more of this, that and that. So food is medicine, okay? So do consider getting one of those out the front. And then the other thing is as well, when it comes to that spiritual health, knowing that, having a purpose is important, there's this amazing answering the most important questions card. That's going to really increase your IQ if ever I've seen that before. And there's this wonderful one here as well, okay? So do check those out. These ones are for free, the book is to be charged for. So let's have questions. Who would like to start?
Candice,
Yes.
we have transplants, my sister and I, and many of those things there, like turmeric and that, they say we're not allowed to have because it mixes with our medications. And they don't want us to bring up our immunity, they'd rather keep our immunity dampened down.
Yes.
So there's a problem with many of this, even fasting.
Mm-hmm.
We need protein to use the chemicals to have medications they've given us.
Yeah.
Without protein, they won't work.
Yeah.
And what do you do then?
Well, yeah, I definitely would recommend fasting for you guys, but you can certainly still do, like the 2 meals a day. That's still very doable to do because that's not going to impinge, the amount of protein and things like that you're having. But yeah, and you know that you can actually have turmeric in all stages. It's the amount. So if you eat it as a food and don't go taking the high,
No tablets, yeah. Just
yeah,
the
because they've
sprinkle.
been standardised and they're very strong and potent, right? But if you eat it as food, that's fine because you need to have enough of an immunity to not get sick and,
That's right.
So it's this balance with you guys, but it's very doable. It's about eating healthy, just moving, keeping the stress low. So yeah, but I know it is tough. It makes it difficult, more difficult.
And also, you've not spoken on skin cancer, and my sister has a very bad case of skin cancer.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot. Let's talk about that after, okay? Yes.
Just that AMP one, is there another name for that immune gooseberry, Cape gooseberry? Are they Cape gooseberries or is that a different thing?
It's a different one, but it's still good, just not
No, I
as...
don't like them, so
Oh.
it's not, I don't like the taste of Cape gooseberry,
Okay.
so it's not that, it's something.
Yeah, no, it's different, yeah. But this, so what it actually tastes like, so you get it as a powder and it just has a little bit of a citrus zing to it. So it's not bad. The normal, Indian gooseberry, yeah. Yeah. Yes.
What is good for female bladder infections?
Okay, so you want to definitely be doing your cranberry, okay, but you also want to be taking other things as well, like burdock and cleavers, lots of garlic, okay, ginger, turmeric, because all that anti-inflammatory, but you really have to get your microbiome sorted because that's what the cause is. So lots of good probiotics, okay. Eat it, but also get really strong therapeutic grade capsules just to give you a big start. Yeah. And lots of greens. Greens. Okay, anybody else?
I make for him fresh garlic.
Yes.
When I chop it small pieces up.
Yeah.
When he start eating the garlic, 1 tablespoon, I put honey, but he complained, he said, I cannot take it.
So the best thing for you would be to have aged garlic in a capsule already. So you can get aged garlic.
What I make is I bake the garlic.
Okay, yeah.
And I put in this food.
Yeah, and you're fine with it that way. That's still good, but you're not getting all the benefits of the raw. So do just get aged garlic in a liquid or a powder format in a capsule. Yeah. And then if you have to, do what I do, block my nose and skull, and then you can't taste it. Okay, anybody else? Yes?
Candice, I used to love eating greens,
Mm-hmm.
but then I was diagnosed with hemochromatosis
Mm-hmm.
and told not to have greens.
Yeah.
So
No,
what should I do?
no, still have your greens, but guess what? Eat raw garlic because it reduces your iron content.
Oh,
Yeah. And you won't need to get any bleeds if you have enough garlic. Yeah, so you're good. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, right, okay. Now just go green. Go green with the citrus. So any kind of green juice, you'll probably want to juice greens because it's more concentrated than just eating it. And then with any kind of citrus like a high vitamin C, so limes or lemons, mix that together, you're good. Yeah, so with all green juices, I'll just let you know, if you're going to have a green juice, have it with some citrus, a lemon or a lime, not the orange, because it will help you to absorb the iron content, but not you, wherever you are, my friend. Don't you have it with the lemon, we don't want you to absorb the iron. But also too, it makes it taste better, because it is grassy, right? So do that.
Excuse
And all your dark leafy greens, such as like beetroot leaves. There's more iron in a beetroot leaf than in a beetroot. Yeah. Yes, my dear.
I have diverticulitis, and so they suggest no nuts,
Yeah. No legumes.
legumes, no whole grains. What's left?
No, but you can have it as long as you have, blended and pureed it, because we can't let it get stuck in the pocket. So still doable, just a different, delivery mode. Yeah. All right. Yes, my friend.
Just you said like if you've got cholesterol, I don't know if I've ever done it. You said 10 garlics a day.
Yeah, raw
for 3
garlic.
weeks.
Mm.
Is that 3 weeks or 3 days?
That was in 3 days. That was just one test about erectile dysfunction. But if you have cholesterol, you need more than just
I
that.
don't know, because across my legs,
Yeah.
and there's like, I don't know, I feel like,
There's like a pressure issue. Or
or pain or something like.
Just go to your GP, get tested, or speak to your naturopath. They can do all the testing for you as well. And now there's actually this amazing home cholesterol kit that you can do yourself. It'll cost you a couple $100, but once you get that, that's only if you have uncontrolled cholesterol. But cholesterol can be ripped. The best thing, so do your garlic, right? Eat your raw garlic. You don't have to have 10 cloves every day. But also, if you have 3 tablespoons of ground flaxseed meal, one that you grind yourself, don't buy the stuff from the shops because it's dead. You've got the fibre only, but you won't have any of the oils, they're all rancid. But if you have 3 tablespoons of that goes through the body and grabs onto cholesterol from your liver, as well as for us ladies, your estrogen, excess estrogen or any kind of other metabolites, and it will actually just take it out of the body and you'll just, pass it as a stool. So go your garlic, go your fibres, all your fibres, but then go flaxseed. And what I do is I just mix those ground tablespoons, so 3 of them, in one big tall glass of water and drink it about half an hour before a meal. That's the best way to do it.
Excuse me. I make for him a smoothie.
Mm-hmm.
I use only the flaxseed oil.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so that is his daily intake for the smoothie with mixed berries.
Okay. So let's just quickly talk about smoothies. I'm glad you brought it up. They can be good, but they're usually bad. And I'll tell you why. If they're full of fruits, okay, you're going to get a huge insulin spike. Unless you've got massive amounts of fibre in there to help reduce that glycation. So, do you know, I think everyone here knows, right? If you have too much glycation, so too much glucose spikes, that turns into fat in your liver and cholesterol, right? Yeah. So the thing is, if you have cholesterol, it's not just because you're eating too much fat in your diet.
Too much sugar.
Yeah, it's actually too much too much glucose spikes. So be careful with the smoothies, unless they're filled with heaps of veggies and nuts and seeds to reduce that glycation, then you actually can cause issues with cholesterol.
So far his cholesterol is normal.
Ah, good.
Before he is taking that statins, they call it statins.
Oh
It
yeah.
makes him like he is dying. So I told him, stop drinking these statins because it will kill you.
Yeah.
And now his cholesterol back to normal.
Oh yeah. Can I talk about statins? Oh yes, my friend.
On that, I've been on chemo, and when I started, I was on statins, and that was a disaster
Yeah.
because the statins side effect
Yes.
is that they strip the muscle tone, they give you arthritis, and the chemotherapy accelerated
Yes.
that process. So my advice to anybody is to try and stay off it.
Good advice, my friend. Very good advice. Can I just mention about that real quickly? So what has been proven to help cause dementia is statins. So you know how that's like our number 2 killer?
I don't take them.
You don't need them, and as long as you go and see a health practitioner who knows how to get you on natural statins and get you off that stuff, you can do that. That stuff will not increase longevity. It might keep you alive for a short term, and that's good, and you do need that sometimes. I'm not against it, but until your lifestyle and diet kicks in, you shouldn't rely on that stuff long term.
Coconut oil and coconut milk, any good?
Okay. How long do we have? We're running out of time. Okay, on the very, very short answer is, for the average person, coconut milk and cream, fine, right? But if you have issues with cholesterol or diabetes or anything like that, then don't have it or have it as a treat. But the oil, I don't recommend it at all. I actually don't recommend it at all. I don't care if it's cold pressed and, you know, the very best. I know it's high in caloric acid and all those goodies. I think it's great. I use it externally, right? So it's my moisturiser. But I'm not a fan of it internally because I've seen only people who are susceptible, so I'm not against it for everyone. I think if you're very healthy and you don't have issues with cholesterol, you can get away with a bit of coconut oil. But for the majority of us, considering that our number one disease is heart disease, and then the second is cognitive function, which we know is caused by fat issues in the brain, to me I'm like, And all the tests I've done with all my clients, as soon as I get them off all oils, including coconut and cold pressed olive oil and all of that stuff, that's getting rid of all their cholesterol. Okay, as soon as they increase one of those back into their diet, it starts coming back up. So a lot of people these days are very unable to metabolize it, so I just recommend it no for them. Okay? All right, last question and then we're going to finish.
What about grape seeds oil?
Yeah, grapeseed oil, so same type of thing. It works the same. If you're susceptible to those kind of cholesterol issues, you can't really metabolize it. And grapeseed, it would have been my first choice out of any oils. If you want to have oils for a treat, make yourself something fried, then go like your cold pressed olive oil, low heat, or avocado oil.
Better no heat.
Better no heat, better, you know what, I just recommend everyone to like saute with water. That's ideal. Okay, now we are going to finish up now and we're going to have some beautiful longevity refreshments. We're going to have some recipes from the 5 blue zones. Okay, so you're going to have a Loma Linda beautiful green dip with raw garlic and coriander and all the good herbs. If you don't like coriander, don't try it. Thank you. We're also going to have a beautiful Sardinian white bean dip. We're also going to have a pre and probiotic kefir French onion dip. Okay, and those of you who have come before, you know what that tastes like. I'm doing a warm latte with all of those longevity herbs in it, the gingers and the turmerics and the cardamoms and all of those. And then also we have an Icarian iced tea with hibiscus and lemon and ginger. And then we also have some little longevity nut balls with your walnuts and all of your good stuff. So please come on up and help yourself with that. But before, we're going to, Charmaine, would you like to mention anything, please?
Well, first thing I want to do.
Yeah, thanks, Owen. I just wanted for us all to put our hands together and give Candice a really big We've learned a lot today that they can take and apply into their lives. Yeah, I learned so much. I studied nutrition and half this stuff I didn't know. So thank you, Candice. Amazing. And yeah, really think if we go away and apply 10% of that, then we're all going to be doing so much better. So take the notes and go over them regularly so that you can remind yourself. Because I find that good habits kind of slip away when you don't remind yourself. Who else finds that? Yeah. So you've got to keep going over it and reminding yourself. Because I've gone back and found Candice's amazing menus that she's done for us before. I'm going, okay, time to regroup. I need to do this and get organised. So go through your cupboard and get rid of the bad stuff. That's the first thing. And then look about what you can do to change just even 10% this coming week.
Yeah.
Just wanted to mention a couple of the books that we have on sale out here. So Fighting Disease with Food is a book that's all about food as medicine. And I just love it because it has all sorts of different health conditions. So let's say, for instance, you have chronic fatigue. It shows you all of the foods that you should be eating that are high in the nutrients to help you recover. Or if it's cancer, or if it's heart disease, whatever it is, it's got a page for that. So I really like it because it's kind of part of that motivation to get us back into the good stuff again. We've also got, who watches Barbara O'Neill on YouTube? Yeah, she is a bit of a pro. We have her books for sale today and they're highly sought after. And I really encourage you to get yourself a copy of this book, her newest book. It's just been out about 2 months on the market and it's just brilliant. It's got every health condition known to man and natural remedies like Candice would recommend. You should write a book, Candice.
So I actually worked with Barbara for 2 years. We worked in the same wellness retreat. So yes, I endorse that.
Yeah, she's amazing. So she's got 2 books, Sustain Me and her original book, Self-Heal by Design, which I think is still amazing. And there's a bunch of really good plant-based cookbooks as well. So go out and take a look at what we have there. Candice, if someone wants to go to your health retreat, how do they do that? Okay, perfect. There's all the information you need to contact Candice and to get yourself booked in. She does like 2-on-1 or 3-on-1 for cancer. Yeah, and more people if you want to take your buddies and all have a bit of a stay. It's a pretty amazing time. And I know people personally who have got to the point where their cancer, if they had cancer, is fully in remission after going to Candice's health retreat. So I really recommend it. And let's just bow our heads and thank God for the food. And as you leave, if you'd like to have a taste, you can mix and mingle as long as you like. But that does conclude our program for today. So let's bow our heads. Heavenly Father, Lord, thank you that you are a creator God that made us. And we're fearfully and wonderfully made when we look at all the cells in our body and how we absorb nutrition and how we get energy to be able to do what we need to do in a day. It's just amazing. Lord, thank you for making us who we are. Thank you for making us social beings who thrive when we're in community. Lord, thank you for the community we have here at Logan Reserve, and we want to invite all our friends to come back anytime, Saturdays at 9:30 a.m. And Lord, I just want to pray a blessing over each person's life as they leave this place, that your Holy Spirit will minister to them in a special way, whatever needs are in their life. I pray that you will fill them by your mighty power, Lord. You're the one that hung the stars in space, spoke the world into existence. Nothing is too hard for you. So Lord, if there are people with health conditions that they're struggling with, we bring all this to the foot of your cross today. And just pray for healing and strength for every person that's come here today. Lord, may we go home, may we do the things we've learned, apply these new principles and learn and grow and become stronger every day until you come. Please bless the food too as we eat now, and may we always remember to give glory to you. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you.